Grimoire. Heralds of the Winged Exemplar. Rolls off the tongue. Grimoire is the spiritual successor to Wizardry 7, and it's not Wizardry 8, Wizardry 7. And it comes with all the charm, the love, the freaking searching for secrets, as well as the terrible, terrible jank from those games. And when Wizardry 7 came out in 90, I think it was 92 or 91, it was really amazing. It was revolutionary. And even if you went back and played it today, you would have to get through so much with the terrible resolution and the terrible mouse. But you could sit there and play this on Steam, Wizardry 7, and it would be amazing if you would put your time into it. You would have to get over a lot of hurdles. There's a lot of nice quality of life issues and stuff that we're used to today that we're just like, screw this. Like Wizardry would have you like, it would tell you something you would need. You would need a passcode or whatever. It would just tell you as you're running through a bunch of text. If you didn't hit pause to write down the passcode, you were screwed. If this was pre-internet, if you didn't know the dang passcode, or if you didn't know that you need to feed the bananas to the gorilla, that you would be screwed, and you could be sitting there wandering around for months and months and months without knowing what to do and without anyone really to talk to except for somebody else who would be interested in wizardry. And you know what? There would be no one. You'd be the only one. You'd be all by alone. And it slowly grew in popularity as a cult game. Now, Wizardry was always famous, but it became like this cult game, and I would consider it probably in my top 20 of RPGs of all time. And so when I heard that there was going to be basically a spiritual successor made by a guy who had worked on a canceled Wizardry game, his name is Clive Cliff. He's from Australia. A good day. But I was excited. I didn't know when it came out. I had not been following this game. A fan had recommended it to me, and he ended up actually buying it for me eventually when it went on sale. So shout out to Mr. iBeat for getting me this game. But even after he got it, I sat on it, and the reason I sat on it, there was no manual for it. And I was like, yo, I'm not going through that again, because I never actually got around to beating Wizardry until I heavily invested in just that game, and with every single bit of information I could. There was walkthroughs and wikis and everything else, and maps and all kinds of other stuff that would help me. And that game was still hard as far as puzzles and stuff. And so I was really reluctant to work on this game until it came to some sort of level of decent completion, because it released in, I think it was early access or whatever it was, or maybe it should have been an early access and released. But I was looking up on it, and there was a lot of people mad at Cleve. Some of it was for political reasons, but some of it, he was also running his mouth, and he was saying stuff, well, this game's never going to be, I don't know if it's $35 or $40. It's never going to be on sale, and all kinds of other nonsense, political drama, just drama. And a lot of people were mad at him because he hadn't had the manual out. I'm like, I'm not touching this. So I sat on it. I think I sat on it for almost 2 years. And I've been watching it, though, and I haven't been any updates for it for a while, and a lot of people were able to beat it and stuff. I'm like, you know what? Okay. I'm going to sit around time. I'm going to go through this, because I knew what the heck I was getting into. I think it took me 90 to 100 hours to beat Wizardry 7. That's with immense guides. That's with me trying hundreds and hundreds of hours before on several different attempts to beat it and failing. And so I beat it with heavy use of the wikis and walkthroughs. Wizardry 8, I finally went through a similar thing where I'd gotten lost I tried to do the game without help, or I played it when it came out, actually. I bought a strategy guide with it, but I refused to use it. And then I think that took me like 84 hours or whatever. And so here we go again with Grimoire, and it took me, I think it was 82 hours to beat it. And bro, it was a beast. And even with the wiki, even with multiple experience on multiple of these blobber or first-person type not shooters, first-person dungeon crawlers, it still was rough. It was hard because the puzzles were way tough, and they would drive you nuts, and they would have solutions that I would have figured out, but I'm not doing it correctly, and I would get frustrated. And I think that, and then while I am going to recommend this game at the end, I'm going to spend most of the time talking about the things that drive you nuts, because as you're playing the game for a very long time like this, little knickknacks add up. But the real thing that got me stirred up was the puzzles. They were so cryptic. And like, you start off and there's like a huge amount of area that's considered the starting area. I'd say it's about 30 hours of the game, 20 to 30 hours of the game. In order to actually get past the starting area, you have to solve this super duper cryptidy-doo puzzle involving cosmic eggs and machines and like making omelets and crushing stuff in dungeons and all kinds of stuff you need to do. And these puzzles for this main quest line that you have to do is spread out over the starting area, and they might be 7 or 8 maps apart from each other, what you need to do for each thing. And once I read that, I was trying to do it on my own without too much help, but once I actually read that, I was like, you know what? Wiki all day long. And I heavily used the wiki or the forums to help me get through the rest of the game. So let's get around and talking about it. As a first-person dungeon crawler, it's pretty dang awesome. You got to go through the dungeon. You look at each little tile. You look for secrets and stuff like that. There's enemies and there's hidden switches and there's doors. What's great about this game, and it's on the screen right now, you can get an auto map. You just press Alt-3, it brings you an auto map. And at first, you don't have a way besides just going and physically walking all the stuff to find everything. But there's spells to cast, like Allocate Item or Danger Sense. And if you cast at the highest level, will actually set the map up for you. And so you just got to fill it in. It's going to be like finding a map in Super Metroid. And that's really fun. Especially that using that and spells like detect secrets and stuff like that will just help you find all of these little hidden doors or pathways or switches. And so you really only need to worry about the puzzle part. Well, of course, that's the rough part. And then the wiki would help you get through there. And there's a lot of area in this game. I would say it should be about the size of Wizardry 7. Wizardry 7 is massive. It's insanely big. And there's like, there'll be, I don't know how many areas. There could be 40 or 50 areas with like those maps that was just up there a while ago. And all kinds of cool dungeons, all kinds of different areas. I love the way the enemies look. They're hand-drawn. There's some different art styles I can tell, because this game was worked over the course of 20 years. Like, some of it looks like he took pictures of it, or he drew it and took pictures of it, and some of it's like hand-drawn. I really liked it. It looks way better than Wizardry 7. The music, he hired a guy out to do music. The music is freaking great, and it runs throughout the game. While most of Wizardry 7 was silent, or just you would hear the same few sound effects or just a couple of music cues over and over and over again, and it slowly drove you nuts. This music's great, and this theme I got running now it's so weird and goofy. I just like it. I just liked it a lot, and ended up there's no way to get this soundtrack easily. It's on YouTube, like the complete set of YouTube. I downloaded that guy's YouTube video with the music in it, and then split cut the music I wanted to get, and it was great. So let's talk about what I think, besides the puzzles, the other big glaring problem with this game is the actual combat. And there's a variety of things we need to talk about here. Basically, it's like whoever goes first, you or the enemy. You guys are both loaded down with insta-kill weapons. The Berserker class, the Assassin class, they have these things called lethal blows. And you would most swords and axe have this lethal blow stat on them. And you just drop your lethal blow on an enemy, critical hit, kill. And this is even for bosses. Super huge bosses that seem like you've been building up for hours and hours and hours ago. You could just go first, lethal kill him, dead. And the way you end up making your party is you put all points into speed so that they always go first. Or the only way the enemy's going to go around when you go is to also have maximum speed. Late in the game, you'll run into enemies like that. But for vast majority of the game, go first and then have a spell called Enchanted Blade up that helps you hit, because you put all your points in speed, nothing into strength or agility to help you hit. But the spell negates that. So go first, kill everything, take no damage. Like, why you even have these hit points? There's almost no reason to have hit points. Just to avoid instant kills on wizards and stuff is pretty much the only reason to have. It's like, why even have gear? As far as like equipment and shit, unless it has speed on it, you know. There were some shoes that had speed on it, and but if the enemy goes first, let's talk about that. There's so many enemies that have instant kill bullshit. It's like these little dragonflies. Oh, he's a dragonfly, okay. You know, I live on a lake. Dragonflies are good luck around here. If they land on your fishing pole, that's good luck. They might land, you know, on top of it, having the you know, the crazy dragonfly sex, but you know, that's probably even double the good luck. That's 2, man, okay? But you're sitting there, and it's the dragonfly enemy's turn to go. They kill you 1 hit. And like, well, what was it? Was it something I could resist? Is it like a poison I can resist? No, just 1 hit, you're dead. And like, what the bullshit is this? And there's a penalty. There's a permanent penalty of losing 10 points to your constitution if you revive a character. So think about this, okay? So you can't let your characters die. So what happens if an enemy kills a guy? You just click the end game button right there. You reload your save. All right, so, well, I need a lot of saves in. Yeah, you need a whole lot of saves. And in fact, you need to save every 2 seconds. So all you do is hover your finger over the F6 button, which is the quick save button, and you quick save after every battle. Or after time you do anything, you hit quick save, quick save, quick save. There's right there, quick save 100.c. You just, it like gets burned in your retina. You know, I bought a new keyboard, probably done wore out the F6 button, and I now would think that this would wear on a lot of people. That this whole quick save mentality, or I wouldn't even call it save scumming to the point of like save states and like NES games. NES games weren't designed to use save states, but PC games, a lot of them like Half-Life and stuff like that. Half-Life, you needed a quick save every time you come to a ladder. That was expected for a long time in the PC gaming world, was to just use your quick save. Like if you even beat a level in Doom and you go to the next level, you took all your gear with you, but if you died in that next level, you lost everything, and then you would just have what's called a pistol start. And so every time you went to the map, you'd have to make your own save. And this game really, really shows you that that is an antiquated freaking thing, because you get annoyed. It's like, save, save, save. You save all the time, anywhere around the corner. If you fall asleep or something, your enchanted blade wears out, the enemy might go first. It might kill you in 1 hit. And but you better have your quick save up. You better have your enchanted blade up, so that you're just smoking this game. And now I played on novice with low random encounters. There's still set encounters that are around, so there's plenty of set encounters. But that's the default settings of the game. I don't want to know, you know, what happens when you set that sucker up. The master is all the monsters fast. It would still come down to kill them instantly before they kill you instantly. Of course, what this does, you know, with all your bosses negated, you know, you're reaching up, you're getting big drama and tension. The game does a real good job of building up to some of these bosses, and you just melt them things in like 2 seconds. It's like, well, what the fuck was that? I mean, I feel, if it's awesome to feel overpowered, but then you're just like, what the heck? And this becomes the whole game. Lord Ahriman, the super badass, I killed him on the 2nd round. Only because I didn't critical hit him on the 1st round. I killed him straight out in the 2nd round. And these monsters might have a jillion hit points. It don't matter. Critical hit, you're dead. And you'll just see this over and over again. And it becomes like this thing that wears down against the game. And as great as the exploration is, and even with the annoying ass puzzles, that these this freaking instant kill crap is bullshit. And there's a little bit of jank also to go with the game. It was nowhere near as bad as I thought it would be. It's nowhere near like, say, freaking an Elder Scrolls game, which is loaded with false quests and, you know, shit that doesn't work or falling through the floor. There was a couple of things having to do with critical items staying critical, and like you can't get rid of them. The inventory screen is god awful. You see me right here clicking through the things. You can only use like what's on this here set of page, but there's like 9 or 10 column rows, and so you have to scroll through, and it gets loaded up with critical items that you can't use because they still have the critical tag, or you either found a way to not use them or a way around it not having to use the critical item, and then but it's stuck there and you can't really get rid of it. And you know, you could put it on the floor, but dear God, it's like, would you really want to put a critical item on the floor? What if you do actually need it later on? And there's like that little Annika thing right there at the bottom right. It was like the Bane of Hobnob or whatever. You do need that. You do need that. And so gotta keep it, man. And so your all of your inventory is just full of critical items and shit, and it's like just undeniable chaos. And you try to sort the items manually, it's a bunch of work, so you end up trying to use the automated sorting step, and that's crap. There's critical items every damn where. It's just a huge pain in the ass to find anything. And there's little bags and stuff that you could like put things in. So the bag takes up one slot in your main inventory, when you can put like 5 or 10 things in there. And so you load that shit up. It's like, uh-oh, I need something out of the musical instrument thing. Well, I don't even know what the hell it looks like. You're just sitting there scrolling around. You're like, what the fuck? The entire inventory, as good as I love the graphics of the monsters and stuff, the backgrounds and stuff, but the actual inventory is terrible. And it has that just, you have that ugly looking character who is like a human with no pants on for most of the time. But you have all these creatures and stuff, and they don't have, you know, it's a dog. My character's a dog. Why does it look like a human on the inventory screen? And it's terrible annoying to change your gear out and all kinds of other stuff. It's a lot of jank in here, a lot of jank. And it wears on you slowly but surely over your, 80 to 100 hour playthrough. Some people were saying, well, Cleve himself said this was a 650 hour game. He's full of shit, but maybe if you didn't know what you were doing. But what else do we need to talk about here? Any other jank? Well, there's a little bit. Oh, one more thing. It's that I had an alchemist that lost her ability to think about alchemy. It was her main skill for casting stuff, but alchemy just disappeared, dude. And I'm like trying to cast spells and I'm failing at this shit. And when she gained a level, it came back, and I'm like, okay, that's what's going on. It was just a fluke. And then, I've gained a level, we're playing through it some more, then midway through the next level, alchemy disappears again. I'm like, oh shit. And I ended up having to sub to a different class. That was about 5 or 6 hours of annoyance, but that kind of stuff's there. That kind of stuff you need to watch out for. And it's like, do you sell your critical items, or you put them on the floor when you're done? Or what if they say they're not critical, but you need them? And there's these things that go in the back of your mind. It's like, oh, well, I can't figure out what to do. Is it because the game's busted? Probably isn't busted. You haven't done what you needed to do yet. And there were and you could talk with NPCs and stuff, but it's like they're not very good. They don't really. They're not. You don't feel for a split second that these are your actual people you're talking to. There's like, you just got to get the keyword, and you can use a spell to read their mind to get the keyword. But if you're not talking about the keyword, they're like largely useful. When I was in Wizardry 7 and 8, you can carry on decent conversations with the NPCs without really knowing what to do, and they would tell you keywords. Wizardry 8 saved your keywords. It said in the options here they were supposed to underline keywords. I had it turned on. It never worked. So there's jank here. There's jank and stuff that doesn't work. There's a tons of skills that don't work. I'm not talking about magic or attack or anything. I'm talking about in the inventory, like skills. Like the one I'll mention is evasion. I had a fairy with 70 evasion. I don't know if it ever did anything. If it did do anything, I couldn't tell. There was no feedback to tell me there was anything. And there was like all these cool buffs and stuff. Like you could cast haste on your characters, but it wouldn't show or tell you that you had haste on. There was no feedback to tell you, oh, it's about to wear off, to turn off. You only had the main stuff up there. You had like you had detect secrets and armor plate. The same stuff that popped up on the screen on Wizardry 7. This game you also used. And so, with all the jank and sort of this out of ancient gameplay type thing, where it's got some quality of life improvements like the map over Wizardry. Wizardry was from the 90s, and it had a lot of trouble then. You just kind of went with it because it had so many cool things. It would just be also awesome. It was just a deep, awesome, engrossing game. Well, what about this game? This game was released in 2017, and so why is it so ancient looking? I mean, the guy spent 20 years on it. You should have had some quality of life features. Things just when you click on an item or something and it has a bunch of stuff in there, it's like reading Pig Latin. You're like, what the hell is it talking about? You just don't know. Or you'll have like a flute instrument and it has a number next to it, and the number goes down. Oh, the flute's about to break, but it doesn't break. It just keeps working. And then the next item, some pipes or whatever, you're playing the pipes, and they have numbers on them. So I could use this all I want. And when it gets down to 0, it blows up. I'm like, what the hell, man? But even with all of this complaining, I still really like the game. There's just something about searching through the maps in first person, figuring out the puzzles and the secrets, even though you're cussing the game. I'm cussing the game. I never figured out how to get the rainbow cockroach. The rainbow cockroach was there. I could see where I needed to be to get him. I couldn't get a cockroach, and he's like rainbow colored. I'm like, what's this rainbow cockroach? I want him. It gives me a special screen when I walk over and see him, and I can't get him, and I'm freaking mad. Even with all of that, we're still going to give it the paws up. Kitty loses her mind over these games. She loves that shit and just falls into the story, falls into the antiquated graphics, but they're still good. They still look good. It's still fun to play. It's still going through the dungeons, clicking the switches and stuff. Even if you're insta-killing all the monsters, there's still something core to what Wizardry is that this game gets right, and it's awesome for it. And it's huge, and I've heard somebody call it like it's Wizardry 7 on steroids. It is. Yeah, it is. But, then we've got Brian over there who knows and appreciates this game, but at the same time, why weren't there more quality of life features? Why am I losing alchemy? Why is half these skills piece of crap? Why is it when I'm starting and I'm like a super badass like lizard who does huge damage with my claws, but I've got this like stick in my hand with a feather on it, I guess. I'm doing 1 damage, and as soon as I take the stick out, and I'm awesome. Why is that kind of shit in there? And there's like a lot of balance that's wrong in this game. A lot of balance that's wrong, and like it's kind of tough at hard at first, and it gets really easy for like I would say 60 something hours, like the majority of the game, and then toward the end it finally picks up some challenge again, mainly with putting you into situations that are kind of rough, like going through lava and stuff like that. But I recommend this game to a point, and it's very specific and it's very niche. If you've played Wizardry 7 before, or if what you see on the screen is really appealing to you, like you saying like, wow, this is some in-depth crazy shit, then you should give this game a try. It runs $10 now, so Cleve's telling you it's never going to be on sale. No, $10 is his actual price, and it's very much worth it if you're willing to do the experiment. Even if you don't want to go all the way through it, it's worth to play this game for 4 or 5 hours to get this, to have the first-person dungeon crawling experience, on your resume or whatever. As far as you're looking to beat it, I would beat Wizardry 7 first, so that's very niche if you're wanting to complete this, whether you should get it or not. Now, I'm going to turn around and recommend a game to anybody else who are like, what the hell is this thing I'm playing? And you're intrigued, but you're like intimidated, and you should be intimidated because it's fucking intimidating. All right, there's a game series, and it's sad it's on the 3DS. It's eventually, I believe, going to come to Switch, but it's called Etrian Odyssey, and it's made by Atlas. You get to experience the awesome first-person perspective, going around, figuring out the map. You can draw on the map because you got the 2 screens on the 3DS. You can actually draw on the map if you want to. Some of the later ones allow the map to be auto-completed as you walk, if you don't want to do that. But Etrian Odyssey has a much better overarching gameplay loop with dealing with enemies. The regular enemies are actually a challenge. The boss enemies are challenges. It's mainly combat oriented. You get to you build up your party and you combine your skills and stuff. Has some cool anime graphics. I would recommend the people who kind of like what they're seeing but they're scared to try Etrian Odyssey instead. Now it's a tough game. Some of the later ones you can drop the difficulty down. But hey man, Grimoire, it's a thing. You can play it. You're going to get pissed off when you can't figure out the puzzles, when you can't get the damn cockroach. You're going to be throwing shit. You're going to have situations when you think that you've screwed the whole game up. You're going to have to go and load up a save for 2 hours ago. But you'll get through it. Hey, man, I did.